Hi everybody, this is a short video where I'm going to focus on the problem of the steering box very precisely, because I've reached out on several forums for information on possible part sources and just ideas on how I might work around this problem. And I've gotten a lot of suggestions, and one suggestion that keeps recurring is a lot of people feel that I should be able to cross this bearing to some other modern bearing, or I should be able to find a modern bearing with the correct diameters that will work. And the problem is I can't explain in words when I'm typing exactly why that won't work. So I just figured I'd make this little short video and illustrate what the gist of the problem is here. So first, let me show you. This is the area where the outer race of the bearing actually is supposed to ride, right in here. It's actually got a little bit of damage right here when it broke apart. I'm assuming that, metal got in there and got ground in there. But anyways, so this right here is your OD. So the OD of the replacement bearing would have to press in here. Now I haven't even checked what this OD is yet, but let's assume for a moment that we could find a bearing that pressed in there. Well, that's all fine and dandy. Here's where the problem lies. I'm actually going to show you the other arm because I've got it down in the basement in a second. This is what they call the lever shaft. And this shaft, if you notice, it's got no gears on it, except for on this very end here, you've got the teeth. So you've got a shaft that on this end, if this was the shaft that actually sat in here like this and went through the bearing, then all I would need is a bearing with an ID that would slide over this, and I would slip it right over the top of this conventional roller bearing, slip it right over the top of this into position, and the OD that would press into this casting here on the steering box, and I'd be in like Flint. But can't do that, and let me show you why. Okay, so now I've got the other shaft. This is the one that's actually supported by this bearing setup, and now you can see what I was talking about. What you got here is you got a sector gear here and a sector gear here, and these are actually machined out of the solid piece of steel. So this is not pressed on to this shaft. This is all one piece. Furthermore, this area right here, which is the inner race for the rollers to go of that bearing to ride on, is actually machined out of the same shaft. So you can see that you've got this large diameter right here. You're not going to be able to take a bearing and slide it down over this shaft. This is going to be in the way. So what they did to get around that problem when they designed this way back when is they have a bearing that comes apart in sections. You've got this outer race right here that actually is large enough to fit over that section. And then what they did is you've got the inner race is actually part of the shaft. They've got a groove cut in it. They put this snap ring in the groove that sits proud of that surface. They designed special rollers. They look like little dumbbells that actually have this slot cut in them, and that actually will sit like that. Okay, and then after you have all of these on, you snap this metal retaining ring over that groove, and that will hold all of those in place, and then you slide that whole assembly into this race, and then this goes into the case, or the side case there of the steering box. But anyways, that's how this is. And the problem with it is that this race is cracked, and quite a few of these rollers were damaged. There's just like halves of them. We got actually a bunch of stuff laying around in there. Quite a mess. So in the service manual, when they actually talk about when you're reassembling this, the actual tip that they give you is to use really heavy grease. To actually use the heavy grease to almost act as like a tacky glue to hold these rollers into position so that you can put this all together. But that's not going to do me any good because, like I said, can't get the parts unless I make them. So I'd have to have quite a few of these made, and these would have to be hardened steel to be effective. And then I'd have to have one of these made, and again this would have to be out of hardened steel to be effective. So that's where we stand. And then some of the thoughts that we were throwing around would be like a two-piece bushing, where we'd actually just omit this bearing altogether and make a large, maybe out of brass, bushing out of 2 halves that would actually have an ID that would fit around this. I would take this clip off and we would just have a big bushing to set around this thing, and then as the 2 halves were put around this, the OD would be the correct size to fit into the case. That would be one idea. But for right now, I just wanted to get this video on there so people could see what the problem is with the design.